It's 2 in the morning, the house is silent, and somehow the exact same ache that was barely noticeable at lunch is now the only thing you can think about. You haven't done anything to make it worse. Nothing's changed, except the clock. And it turns out, that's not a coincidence, and it's not in your head. Your body is genuinely built to feel more pain at night, and the reasons are more specific than you're just tired. It starts with the hormone quietly disappearing. Your body runs on a roughly 24-hour internal clock called your circadian rhythm, and one of the things it controls is a hormone called cortisol. Most people know cortisol as the stress hormone, but it has a second job most people never hear about. It's one of your body's natural anti-inflammatory tools. During the day, cortisol stays relatively high, quietly keeping inflammation in check and dulling pain signals before they get too loud. But cortisol follows a predictable curve. It peaks in the morning, and it drops to its lowest point overnight, which means the exact hours you're lying still in the dark are the exact hours your body's built-in painkiller is running on empty. And while cortisol drops, something else rises to fill the gap. Researchers have found that certain inflammatory molecules, specifically ones called cytokines, tend to increase overnight, right as cortisol bottoms out. Two of the most studied ones, interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, follow their own circadian pattern, climbing through the night and peaking around the same hours people report their worst pain. So it's not just that your body's defense against inflammation goes quiet, it's that inflammation itself is actively rising at the same time, completely independent of anything you did that day. There's also a distraction problem, not just a chemical one. During the day, your brain is constantly busy. Conversations, screens, walking, working, all of it floods your nervous system with sensory input. There's a well-known idea in pain research called gate control theory, which suggests that non-painful sensory information can essentially close a gate, partially blocking pain signals from fully registering before they reach your brain. Lying in a dark, silent room at night removes almost all of that competing input. There's no gate left to close. The pain signal that was always there finally gets your brain's full, undivided attention, with nothing left to drown it out. Not all pain follows the same clock, though. This part surprises people. Researchers studying circadian pain patterns found that different conditions actually peak at different times of day, not just at night. Postoperative pain, fibromyalgia, and migraines tend to be worse in the morning. Joint pain, nerve pain, and cluster headaches tend to build throughout the day and peak in the evening or overnight. Arthritis and cancer-related pain, interestingly, showed close to no circadian pattern at all in some studies, which means nighttime pain isn't one universal rule. It's your specific type of pain running on its own internal timetable, and for a lot of people, that timetable happens to point toward night. Other hormones are quietly doing the same overnight disappearing act. Cortisol isn't the only one dropping while you sleep. Testosterone, which also plays a role in dampening inflammation and muscle pain, follows its own nighttime dip as part of the same circadian system. For women, the hormonal picture shifts again around menopause, when falling estrogen and progesterone leave the body more prone to inflammation precisely during the hours cortisol is already at its weakest. None of these systems operate in isolation. They're all tied to the same internal clock, all sliding downward together overnight, which is part of why nighttime pain can feel less like one cause and more like several quiet failures stacking on top of each other at once. Poor sleep then makes the whole thing worse, in both directions. Pain disrupts sleep, which is obvious enough, but sleep deprivation itself increases the same inflammatory cytokines that were already rising overnight, and it lowers your overall pain threshold the next day. So a bad night doesn't just cost you rest, it can quietly turn the volume up on tomorrow's pain too, creating a loop that has nothing to do with willpower and everything to do with biochemistry running in the wrong direction. So, if you've ever felt like your body was somehow betraying you specifically at night, it's worth knowing this isn't imagination, and it isn't weakness. Your anti-inflammatory hormone genuinely clocks out overnight. Inflammation genuinely rises to take its place, and the quiet, distraction-free dark genuinely makes whatever's left impossible to ignore. Your body isn't malfunctioning at 2 a.m. It's just running the one part of its schedule nobody warned you about.